Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
Welcome to another episode of Chattin with Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. Between social media and nonstop headlines, from summer camps to new schools, being a kid is not as easy as we remember. So today, we have some tools that we want to share with you to help our kids who may be dealing with stress, fear, or anxiety. Plus, we have a professional boxer in who's going to show our kids some techniques that they can use if they are ever faced with bullying. So I reached out to you guys on my social media page on Instagram at ChelseaFox26 for some comments that we could use on this show. My first question was, what do you wish someone had told you when you were being bullied as a kid? Krista Stoneham said, being tall is the biggest flex. That's what she wished someone would have told her. You don't talk white. You have excellent grammar. Girl, I feel you. Both me and my producer had to deal with that. And she also said, your curls are beautiful. Toya Kent said, sometimes you're forced to fight back, and leaning in with an uppercut from the shoulders gets the job done. We will get back to that later in the show, Toya. I also asked, what's the biggest thing causing anxiety for kids today? Beyond the Celebration said, comparison. Kids today are constantly comparing themselves to what they see online, popularity, lifestyles, and even friendships. And Perfect Blend Foods, LLC, they said a fear of being judged or talked about by other kids. And I think we all have that concern. Like, no matter what age you are, at some point that was a concern. So right. Welcome, Lauren Burns of the Antidote, A Better You mental health group practice.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you're going to help us kind of sort through how to talk to our kids about stress, anxiety, fear, all these concerns,
sure,
and how to do it in a way where they do want to talk to us even more.
Right.
Because it feels like kids are dealing with not only what we dealt with growing up, but even more so like the headlines, social media, all of that. So what are some signs that our kids might be dealing with that fear or anxiety over what they're seeing out in the world?
Yeah, very great question. And I just have to start off with that parents are their own expert of their own kids, right? So you know your child better than anyone else. So when you start to notice patterns of bedwetting or regress behaviors, such as excessive clinginess, things like mood swings, irritability, things like hyperfixation. So when they start to obsessively start to think about worries and start to create scenarios for themselves, something bad's going to happen.
They may be like telling or mentioning these things to you, and you're hearing it over and over again.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's also isolation, right? So maybe they're not wanting to be around their friends anymore or their loved ones, or there's a lack of interest in activities that they used to enjoy. Things like that. So again, knowing that you know your child best, so when you start to notice these uncharacteristic like things that they haven't been doing, that's when you can kind of take a pause and say, oh, okay, something may be going on here.
Yeah.
And I need to better attune to what's kind of happening.
Yeah, because some parents might say like, oh yeah, I have a teenager. They're always irritable.
Yeah, they're always moody. They're always irritable. Right.
But don't be so quick to brush it aside, especially when you see some kind of change.
Correct.
Okay.
And a kind of a unexpected change too, right? So maybe even physical symptoms, unexplained headaches or stomach aches, things that just are not that are just uncharacteristic like of your child.
Okay. All right. Very good. So once we notice these things and we want to have a conversation, that can be so awkward for parents.
Right.
But what are your recommendations for starting those conversations?
Right. And they might not even know what to say or do in that moment, but just providing a judgment-free zone for them will be huge. So making it just a more chill conversation and just like a little check-in, like, hey, how are we doing? What's kind of going on? If there's anything going on, I'm here. I want to listen. So making sure that you're validating and acknowledging what they're telling you. So using those active listening skills that maybe we learned a long time ago.
Okay, yeah, we need a refresher.
We're putting them back into place. So maybe they're trying to tell you something and you want to repeat it back so that they know that you are listening to them. And if appropriate, I would also encourage maybe sharing your own story and experience, being vulnerable with them, because it's showing them that you're human too, you were a child once, and that big feelings and worries are real.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to carry that with you.
I love that. Yeah. And especially when it comes to new situations.
Yes.
So I was telling you, I'm taking my son to a new camp.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned like about how he might be worried about making new friends and all of that. So when it comes to a specific situation,
Right.
What does that sound like from a parent?
Right. I think that prepping them will be huge. So knowing that a change and adjustment, no matter what age or stage of life you're in, is a challenge.
Right.
So giving them a appropriate amount of time to adjust to this new change will be super helpful.
What's appropriate? We're talking about a 5-year-old in my case.
Right. So maybe for the younger kiddos, giving them a day or two
Okay.
in advance.
Right.
Just giving them just enough time to digest that information and also talk and prepare. So maybe that's going to remind them that we're going to be meeting new friends, we're going to have the new teachers or new counselors, we're going to be in a new space. So maybe we drive by the new campsite just to let them know like this is where we're going. Or if we can, maybe even going onto the site and seeing like, hey, this is where you're going to be going, meeting the directors of the camps. So just really just trying to simply prepare them and help them be more aware of this upcoming change, so that they feel more comfortable and ready.
Got
and
it.
if they continue to have those worries, right, having that space for them at home so we can talk about it and validating like, yeah, this is a new experience. You're gonna be meeting new friends and being in a new space. Yeah, that's scary. That's hard.
Yes. Okay, I love that you said 1 or 2 days, because if I started a week out, it's going to be 7 days of constant
And that can linger
questions.
more anxiety too when you
Yes.
have too much time. Then you're
Yes.
just gonna be sitting with it.
Got it. Okay, all right. We have to take a quick commercial break, but we got lots more to chat about when it comes to that. So you guys don't want to miss this for your kids. We'll be right back after this.
I've got the feeling. Come back to me. Got the feeling.
As the kids head to camps for the summer, or even as they prepare to go back to school, because you know it'll be here before we know it, they may be dealing with a lot of feelings. So helping us sort through that, we got Lauren Burns. Okay, so we talked about helping the littles talk through like going to new camp or new situation.
Right.
What about the older kids? How do you address
Yes.
any fear or anxiety they may be having?
Right. Well, that's a really great question. It's going to look very differently than the kiddos, right? So typically for teenagers, you're thinking more constructively and more intentionally, and there's a lot more self-awareness though. So in hopes that when you're having those conversations with your teenagers, has been some sort of collaboration at home and more awareness going on at home about the changes or upcoming adjustments, anything like that.
Yeah.
And knowing that they're still going to have their anxiety and worries and fears too. It may look differently and they may show it differently too. We talked about one of the symptoms of being isolation and mood swings. So when is it appropriate to give them that space too? Just giving them that space to maybe digest some of that information.
Okay, so if you did try to talk to them and they weren't giving you anything.
They weren't receptive.
Okay, so that's when you're just like,
That's when it's like, you know what? I'm seeing that right now. We're not wanting to maybe have a conversation, and that's fine. We can come back to it. But knowing I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah.
So going back to that space is here. This judgment-free zone is here, and I want to be there for you when you're ready.
Yeah, and they may not even be ready until like y'all are driving.
Right, until you're there, until they're ready to talk about it.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's okay.
Absolutely okay.
Just back up. Us
You're
parents
giving-
have to be okay with letting it go.
It's showing that that's a boundary. We want to be respectful of the boundaries.
Okay.
Just like parents have boundaries.
Yeah.
So we want our kids to understand that when someone's setting a boundary and they need that space and time, we can give them that.
Okay, so as parents, is there ever a point where we're like, I can't respect this boundary, I have to dig deeper or something is going on?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That absolutely happens.
Okay.
Right. I think that those conversations can segue into, I think we might need some extra support right now. Right? Like,
Okay.
if we're choosing not to open up at home about something, about a worry or fear or concern, to me, then maybe there's someone else that can help. And that's where me, for example, comes into play, right? Like speaking to a trusted mental health professional and expressing those concerns to them and saying that, hey, we can give an additional safe space for you. And so seeking mental health professional help will support not only the teenager, the older child, and the younger kiddos, of course, too, but also the family and the parents, so that they can develop tools and strategies to better support their kids at home with language, communication styles, things like that.
Okay, so I want to take it back to one of the comments about
Sure.
kids being so concerned about being judged or talked about by other kids. And that can happen at camp, at school, just about anywhere.
Yes.
So, let's break it down again.
Yes.
With the littles. Like, I talked to my son about, sometimes kids are mean. Like, we may go to a playground and some kids don't want to play with him. And, I try to communicate to him that it's okay to just go and do something else.
Right.
How do you talk to the littles about those types of situations?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. I think really trying to remind the littles too, we can't control what anyone else does around us. We can only control what we do. So that's a common theme that comes up a lot in my sessions with littles, to intermediate children, to teenagers, even adults, right? Like, we can't control anyone around us but ourselves. And no matter how much we encourage them, empower them, we want to be mindful and say, hey, we can only encourage what's in your control. So you can go up to, like you said, those other kiddos, but if they don't want to play with you, that's okay. We can go and do something else. And that's within your control.
Yes, tell them they're lost.
Yeah, they're lost.
Yes.
They're lost. You're missing out on a good friend right here.
Exactly. I know my baby is a good friend.
Of course, of course.
All right, so when it comes to preparing, I wanted to point out that we talked about the headlines just a little bit. Okay, we may not want our kids to know about everything that's going on in the news when it comes to schools, camps, and all that, but they may get a hold of it.
Sure.
So how do we ease any fear or anxiety that they have? Does that include, talking about an emergency plan or things like that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know that's sometimes we see things and that's not in our control. Your little one could be looking over at someone's iPad or tablet and see something they weren't meant to see, or even parents have conversations with other adults and their kid is right around the corner. So being mindful too with parents having those adult conversations when their kid is not home or in that space, because they have big ears.
Yeah.
And they're curious.
Do they? Yes.
So if they do come up with a concern of something they either saw or heard, going back to that space, validating, acknowledging that, hey, that's a big worry, that's a big fear, and I hear you, and we're gonna work through that.
Yeah.
We're gonna work through that, right?
Anything that us parents can do to ease our own anxiety,
Yes.
especially when we're sending the kids off to a new environment.
Yes, so going back to when you said a plan of action, right? So preparing, whether it's going to camp or going to a new school or returning to camp, a different or new one, or going to a new school. So preparing, just like we talked about before. So talking to the camp directors or the school principals, looking at medication protocols, camp guidelines, getting all your questions asked before you go so that you feel more competent and comfortable sending your child to that place. And also too, so for example, camp, right? When your kid is gone for days, or sometimes camps are weeks long, how can you fill that space appropriately and keep that momentum going? So whether it's planning activities or a trip, and so reminding yourself that we don't have to sit, or parents don't have to just sit around and wait, because that's all that's going to do is linger anxiety and concern and worry.
Yeah.
So what can they do to keep that momentum going as well?
I like that. All right. Don't just sit around, twiddle your thumbs and
Right.
and get all worried about your kids. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And coming up with maybe even a communication plan with the school or the camp. How are you communicating with the camp? How are they communicating with you and your child while they're away? Whether it's
Yes.
writing letters or sending emails. So again, we're all on the same page with everything, so that the parents and the family as a whole just feel comfortable.
Love that.
Sending
Great
their
tips.
kiddos.
Great tips, Lauren. All right, we've got to take another break. Dang it. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about how to help your kids build their confidence so they can be ready in case any bullies come their way.
To me, I've got the feeling.
You know, another thing we don't like our kids to have to deal with is bullying. Oh, it's the worst. But we also want to prepare them for just about anything. So we've got Quentin Quick Draw Randall in the house, a professional boxer and former Team USA captain. I want to start with your journey into boxing. Tell me a little bit about that.
I started boxing when I was 13, and then I didn't really take it seriously until I was 21. And then when I was 21, I hit the ground running. And so, and I've been doing it full-fledged ever since then. I won Golden Gloves here in Houston. I won state Golden Gloves. I won the USA Nationals, which made me #1 in the nation.
Nice.
I was #2 on the continent, #5 in the world. I've traveled all around the world and the States fighting.
Wow, and I love to see that you're using all these skills to help kids. Tell me about the work that you do with youth.
Well, I train youth kids, besides training them, I mentor them just because for self-esteem issues, confidence, and especially if they like boxing, just give them something to keep them disciplined. Boxing is a very disciplined sport. If you can be disciplined in boxing, you can be disciplined in anything. Like some kids just want to defend themselves if they just need to know how to. And so I don't never teach it for violence or anything. I just teach it for just confidence, reassurance, feeling good about yourself.
Yeah.
Being able to get in shape, being able to defend yourself when you know you have to, like it helps kids a lot.
I feel like that's a big part of it when dealing with bullies. Like you have to have that confidence.
Yeah, because sometimes all you need is just speak up for yourself. Sometimes you don't even have to use your hands. You just speak up for yourself. Some bullies will leave you alone, and that's all it really takes. You just stand up for yourself, and they understand. They'll see like, okay, you're not an easy person to pick on. Okay, he's serious, and they'll just leave you alone.
I love that. Okay, so I know you're going to show me some moves, but
Gotcha.
that's not necessarily how you start when it comes to teaching kids about diffusing these bullying situations. So you're like, let's use our words first.
Yeah. So if you've been bullied, first of all, you always use your words. You're telling an adult. After that, then you want to talk to you. Speak up for yourself. Like if you don't speak up for yourself and you go tell them, they're gonna call you a tattletale. They're gonna call you a snitch. So you speak up for yourself so you can show them like, man, look, I can defend myself. I can take care of myself. I don't need nobody. But I'm not going to continue to keep letting you bully me.
Yes.
And then hopefully it stops there.
Okay.
But if it doesn't, then we got a plan B.
Okay. What's the plan B?
Plan B as a boxer, the #1 rule in boxing is defend yourself at all times. Protect yourself at all times.
Okay.
So you hold your guard up, hold your ground.
Okay.
And hopefully that scares him off too.
When you come at them like this.
Hopefully that scares them off too when you got your guard up and you don't have to worry. But if they come at you and you have no choice but to defend yourself, I've never been a fan of letting somebody punch you and hit you first before you defend yourself.
Ooh,
because it can be just one and done.
And that's all you wrote.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you always want to defend yourself. So like I said, like you want to throw a jab. Like the jab is the most important punch in boxing.
Okay, well, if I have my guard up first, is my stance
Yeah, your stance
correct?
is good. Your
okay,
stance is
so
good.
tell me about the stance, because I just kind of naturally angled towards you.
I
This
see
is my
that.
TV stance
I think you know a little
as
bit.
well.
I think you know a little bit. I see you
all right.
getting your stance like.
All right, so I got this foot just a little bit forward, but I'm facing you.
You
I'm
facing
ready.
me, you would have your guards up.
I would have my guards up, so that means my arms up.
Just like that.
Cover my face?
Not where you got them are fine. You don't want to put them too close to your face. Where you got them is fine. So if you throw a jab, this is your jab, which is your left hand. You throw it straight out. That's right.
Okay.
Again. So if you throw the right hand, just throw the right hand. There you go. So you put them together now. 1, 2. There you go.
Okay.
So hopefully you don't ever have to throw that 1, 2 on nobody that's for bullying you. But if you need to know how to throw it, you most definitely know how to throw it.
And this is something that, we don't want our kids to just
Nah,
jump into the situation not knowing what they're doing. So maybe just go over with them defending themselves. Hopefully it never comes to this. But like you said, you don't want them to get punched in the face.
Don't want them to get punched because if push comes to shove, you got to throw the quickest 1, 2 of your life just to save your life. You throw it right down the middle.
Okay, 1, 2.
1, 2, right
1,
down the middle.
2, okay.
And when you throw it, make sure you throw it like you mean it.
And then so why don't we want our hands too close to our faces?
Because if somebody hits your hand, it'll hit you in the face.
Oh, and then we got a double punch going on.
So,
okay.
Because boxing is a science, so everything that we do is for a purpose, is for a reason. So it's always setting up the next punch, the next step, the next shot, the next plan.
And it takes practice for this to come
Yeah,
naturally.
it takes practice.
Yes. How often do you practice with your youth?
3 to 4 days a week.
Okay. Wow. You have a lot of kids who want to be professional boxers, or did they just come to you saying, hey, I'm dealing with bullying and I just want to learn some techniques?
It's a mixture of both. I got kids that actually like boxing. I got kids that actually hate boxing. but
Yeah.
their parents are making them come.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just so they can get out the video game, just so they're not going in the house all summer doing nothing. And I got kids that's kind of shy. They don't really got a lot of confidence, and we're using boxing to help them build the confidence. But building them around other kids their age, the other kids that won't bully them, that are cool kids in school. And so if they can build a relationship with the cool kids, then they'll give them a sense of confidence, make them feel like, okay, if this cool kid is my friend, and hey, I guess I'm a little cool too.
Yeah.
So make them walk with a little more swag, a little bit more confidence.
I like that. I like that. That's the other thing, your little swag to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have a fight coming up as well. Tell the folks where to follow you so that they can get more information, whether it's about working with kids or you just want to see you fight.
Or you can follow me on my Instagram at Mr. 55 Strong. That's again Mr. 55 Strong. That's my Instagram. That's pretty much my main social media platform.
Okay.
Or you can follow me on my Facebook at Quentin Alpha Wolf Randall.
All right.
That one as well.
Okay, cool. We'll be rooting you on, and then I'm gonna be, practicing my 1-2.
You know a little something.
A little something.
know
He wasn't
something.
ready, y'all.
I
He
know
wasn't
something.
ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
I've got the feeling. Come back to me.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Chattin' with Chelsea. Follow us on YouTube. Go subscribe, go like, do all the things. Chattin' with Chelsea, and keep up with us on social. Chelsea Fox 26. Wardrobe provided by Trezor Cache Boutique. We'll see you on the next Chattin' with Chelsea. You ready to get in these jabs for us?